Good morning. It is Wednesday, the 27th. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. We've got weather to talk about. I've got the burners back under the gun again today. Burning Man, they've had a lot of thunderstorms, wind. You've seen maybe some stuff on your social media feed, but the weather continues a little nastier for them, but things do gradually improve. There's a flood advisory in the area. Temperatures today at Burning Man will be up into the mid 80s, though. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll take a look at the flood advisories for the Lake Tahoe area and areas south, the monsoonal moisture that's been hanging on, which has been, by the way, the most prolific, continuous stream of moisture we've seen from the tropics, North American monsoon, that whole thing. It's the first time we've really seen this prolonged an event, and it's been a significant event. And if you've been up around Lake Tahoe, you know what I'm talking about, up around Bishop. We'll look at the fires, a couple of fires. So there's a few fires, actually. One of the fortunate things is that we've been having lightning strikes, but the flood advisories indicate what's happening, and that is that there's a lot of rain coming out. So you're not getting this dry lightning, which can be an issue. I put together a loop here. I wanted to show you, this is the visible satellite. This starts off yesterday. The burners are, let's see if I can get here. Burners are kind of in this zone in here, Black Rock Desert, out by Gerlach, essentially, northeast of Pyramid Lake. But you see all the available moisture, right? This is yesterday afternoon, or this is actually right now, just updated. So let me back it up all the way through yesterday. So you can see the lightning hits, right? So you can see Mount Shasta area here. This is Mount Shasta. This is Susanville. And then out here is the Black Rock Desert. And you can see just boom, 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 boom. And you can see the vertical development. And the sunsets, you can actually see more of the shadowing, which shows you how strong those thunderstorms were. And just how wet they were. So overnight, the lightning strikes continue. This is overnight last night. And then we go into this morning, and you'll see there's not much convection going on in terms of thunder and lightning, but you do have, as of right now, some significant buildup in that zone. So temperature right now at Burning Man, 64 degrees. They go 85 degrees this afternoon, and they got a really great opportunity for some scattered showers and some flooding. But I'm telling you, if you're a burner, you love it. That's what you do. That's what they're doing. And I'm proud of them. I don't know how many 100,000 of them there are, but I'm kind of proud of them. Like I said yesterday, I'm like, it's kind of gone from really nuts and berries to kind of shishi, right? Tech giants and such. My wife was telling me last night that they have an airport and they built an airstrip at Burning Man. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I love you guys, and I think artists are awesome. But I feel like, wow, that's a long far cry from Baker Beach in 1983. These are the flood advisories. And again, I support you, burners. I really do. These are the flood advisories. And here's the Burning Man zone in here, Gerlach area. That it's not under a flood advisory, but it doesn't mean it's not going to get something, right? But you got flood advisory, you got red flag warnings up around Mount Shasta, and then these flood concerns all the way south to Mammoth Lakes, flood watch. But overall, and you'll see it here, the subtropical moisture, the moisture plume from, here, let me draw an arrow in here. This is the North American monsoon. You can see it's broken off, the continuous stream from where we were yesterday. And you can see most of that moisture now is kind of moving on towards the east. So that's good. There's moisture this morning. There will be stuff, but again, it's not like yesterday when I showed you that. Well, let's take a look. Let's do this. And appreciate your time. I hope you're having a good morning thus far. But remember yesterday, I'll go all the way back here. Look at that. That's how yesterday looked about this time. Look at that, how aggressive and how widespread it is. And then you go to this morning, and it's a much less aggressive looking pattern. So off the coast in San Francisco, we've got fog, as you know, a bunch of it. Marine layer's deep. It's up over 2,500 feet. So it should be up just at the top of Mount Tam. We'll take a look at that. We'll look at the profiler. Smoke not bad, right? We're going to look at the Picket Fire today. That's pretty big still, but they've got containment on it. And then the Garnet Fire. And then there's some various other fires up around the Trinity Alps. And you can see some of the smoke up around Oregon. San Diego, you guys are clear, man. This is a good time of year. You guys started off kind of June gloomy, June, July, and then it just turned into like awesomeness down there. Temperatures in San Diego today are going to make it into the 70s. So a very, very nice West Coast day. As we move forward, this is, you probably know which fire this is. This is the Garnet. And it's been burning in that canyon now for a few days. Let's take a look. Let's watch it overnight. This is Fire Watch now. So this is yesterday. We looked at this shot. And then you should see some showers come in. Do they come in? Yeah. Yeah, there they go. And then the overnight fight. And then somebody moves the camera around, dang it. And then we'll end up this morning. Ooh, ouch, ouch. Okay, better. And again, you can see those ridge lines are well protected. It looks like they're well protected based on where this fire's been burning. So it's really, they've done a nice job keeping it out of harm's way. There's out of people's way. 7 air tankers on it yesterday. Very little growth yesterday. They're up to 9,000 acres on this fire. So no containment yet. I think we got zero containment. Yeah, zero containment on this one. Then we'll go to the Picket Fire. This is a shot kind of looking towards Calistoga. It lasts 24 hours. You know what's changed on this fire? The marine layer. You'll see it come in tonight, I believe. This is yesterday. And then here comes the fog. Come on, there's the fog. And that's where we are right now on the Picket Fire. So what that does is just infuses the zone, the fire zone. I mean, firefighters love this. Cal Fire loves it. Forest Service loves it because you're increasing the humidity, which has a huge, huge, huge impact on fires. So fog is right up, 80% humidity, more than that even in some cases. And you've got fuel moistures that are having an ability to absorb some of that moisture from the air. And so we can take a look at the currents. 6,000 acres burned on that fire. They've contained it nicely. It's up to 25% containment, 6,800 acres, and the marine layer is helping out. So I want to point out again, watchduty.org. These guys, I'll tell you what's awesome about them. In the day of the internet, not everybody, but everybody's grabbing at the coin, right? Trying to make money. These guys are nonprofit. These guys, I saw a story. We did a story at Channel 2 on these guys. Watchduty.org, and I think they're from Napa. And I should know more about them actually, but it is such a service they do, because if you live in a fire zone and you can just go, oh, what's going on up here, up around Trinity Alps, and it immediately tells you how many acres are burned. It tells you what kind of attack the Cal Fire and the Forest Service are using. It shows you live pictures. It gives you live updates. This is such a useful and just like community tool. So those kudos to them, because they could have made a fortune on something like this, and they didn't go for the money grab. They went for, we want to help people, and it really does. And the reason what I said was, one of the things I've learned about fires, and we'll get right to your weather. Sorry, I'm kind of diverging a little bit, but I was in Paradise for that fire. I was in Coffee Park. I wasn't in it, but I was working that day doing weather. The Palisades fire. There's a PTSD component that goes with fire. There just is. And I've learned that from my family, from my own experiences, and from my friends who many live in Paradise still. So when you smell smoke and you've been through a big fire, even if it's a small fire, it's terrifying. So you go here to one of these prescribed burns, you go, oh, it's just a prescribed burn. Scorpion fire, half an acre. I think that's a prescribed burn. Yeah, that's a prescribed burn. So you go, oh, it's just a prescribed burn. Because you don't have a way to really tell. So I think the service that watchduty.org does is second to none. And you should have that bookmarked, especially if you live in a fire zone like you guys up in Paradise and Orville and up in the hills up there in Lassen, in Auburn. Everywhere you can just use it, especially anywhere. It's updates so quickly. Okay, enough of that. This is a smoke model. Air quality not really that great in California. I think a lot of it has to do. There's some of the fires here. You can kind of see this is the forecast, and you can see the Picket Fire, and you can see the Garnet. It doesn't look like it's very prolific, but then when I go to Purple Air, we'll take a look. This will take a second to populate. This is another good air site, purpleair.com. And is it org? Or no, it's a .com. And this shows you where the air quality is not great. And it's all out west, which is nothing but typical for this time of year. And you can see the yellows. I'm not sure that a lot of the yellows, but I guess there's just enough smoke around that it's like Los Angeles. I think that's just a day in the life of the morning commute. Truthfully, with a shallow, or not a shallow inversion, but an inversion. So air quality, a thing in our lives, and purpleair.org is awesome. Okay, let's get to the forecast. Wanted to show you this. This is yesterday. This is Lake Tahoe. We're going to watch these rain shafts come through. That's a close-up, so the camera's going to shift. There's some rain out on the lake. Someone's watching the lake. Yeah, that's not the shot I wanted, but that's the shot I got. What's it going to do this morning? Huh. Oh, there's, okay. That's right now. Up at Lake Tahoe. That's Emerald Bay, Bliss Park, I think. And it just shows you that the moisture. So this is going to go. It's going to, if you had thunderstorms yesterday, Lake Tahoe, you're going to get into them again today. And then this is Mount Shasta yesterday, and you'll see the rain shafts come through and the subtropical moisture. And this morning, what you'll notice is less subtropical moisture because we're just doing the 24-hour loop. And then fun watching the stars move. And then you'll see right there. So not quite as much moisture. And you may have noticed, too, this cloud deck moving towards the east. And that's where the moisture's heading to the east. So it's going to move on and not inflict us. Mentioned the marine layer. This is Mount Tamalpais. Clay, I hope you're watching, brother. Hope everything's good with you. Clay works out at the Pantoll Ranger Station. And probably one of the most, I met him one day and I was like, you're awesome. Because I think it's a hard job to be a ranger. He's one of those information ranger guys. And he sits at a very, very busy intersection, people hiking. And he's got a lot on his plate. You know, some people are not prepared, or some people don't know where they're going, or some people get lost. And so I watched him one day. Because I wanted to talk to him, so I was just listening to how he would approach people. And he was, if you know Clay, you know what I'm talking about. This is Mount Tam. This mountain is up over 2,500 feet. This shows the inversion at about 2,500 feet, right at the top. And if we do the loop on this, will last 12 hours. And you'll see not a lot of fog. Remember, the fog went away yesterday. When the inversion gets deep like it is right now, see, here it comes. And it just came in fat, didn't it? It burns off. So like Stetson, you had sunshine yesterday. Ocean Beach, you had sunshine yesterday. So there's the fog this morning. It's a deep marine layer. It should clear off. So if you're in Bolinas or down in Pescadero or in Santa Cruz, I would suspect you're going to get plenty of burn today. This is the profiler. And you're like, Bill, I hate the profiler. This is the one that this is the top of the inversion right here, these blue lines, right? That's just the top. That blue line represents this. That's the top of the inversion, okay? Everything under here, the air is cooler, so it's stable. And once you get up here, the air begins to warm, and your inversion is right there. Cool air sinks. That's why it's an inversion, because you can't mix. If you had it the opposite, if this was warm air here, and this was cool air here, you'd have a very unstable environment because the warmer would rise in through the cooler air and so on and so forth. So we have an awesome inversion right now, but it's deep and it should burn off pretty quickly. And this is the cross section. This is yesterday. And this is all the way up to today. And you can see it's up around 2,800 feet, at least at Fort Ord, which is what we're looking at. Okay, now we get right to your weather. These are the forecast highs for today. So Los Angeles, 82 degrees downtown. That's a nice day. It's been an awesome run, you guys. San Diego, 79 degrees down in San Diego today, or probably 75, pardon me. Santa Barbara will go 75 degrees. Bakersfield will go 98. Redding, 95. You see the Central Valley not in red. That tells you that, okay, that deep marine layer, not only does it get in here and cool all this, but it kind of weasels its way up and down the coast. Up in Redding will be the warmest spot in the valley, and Bakersfield will be the warmest spot there because those areas are the furthest from any type of marine cooling. But Sacramento, I mean, what a lovely day in Sacramento, upper 80s, low 90s. Napa Valley, low 80s. Inland Bay Valleys, San Jose will be in the upper 70s, low 80s. So just a really nice day. Tomorrow does the same thing. The pattern, what's been the big headline has been this monsoonal moisture. That is ending. And so now we're going to get back into a more typical summer pattern for the entire state, because that's what we've been focused on essentially, is the thunderstorms. HRRR bookmarked on my page. Rapid update model updates rapidly. It updates a lot. It updates all the time, and then you can see this is showing kind of simulated reflectivity. So if there was a future radar, if you will, and you can see up here in kind of just south of Burning Man, you can see the areas. Let me come in a little closer. Let's do this. I wonder if I can do this. Yeah. Okay. And then you'll see this is throughout the afternoon. And then sometime this afternoon, see how it's kind of quiet, right? But you'll see, and then you'll start to see, okay, see those little bubbles starting to show up out in Carson City and then Reno. So that's what's left. That's the remnant of the subtropical moisture still reacting to the heat and the topography. So Lake Tahoe does not look horrible. And you can see something is drifting to the east. That's awesome. So getting a break from the, I wanted to do this. Sorry about this, guys. I thought I had it. I wanted to show you the GFS 500 millibar. This is bookmarked on my page too. I just like the vorticity stuff because I'm going to center it up too. Wow. There's a time when I first started doing these with you guys, I would go back, I'd just start over again. But you guys are so understanding and forgiving of this, because I come from TV, so it's like any kind of glitch, you got to do it again. I'm like, no, you guys are fine. Right. And TV though, but TV was so different. Okay, so GFS, right? We haven't looked at this in a while. 500 millibar vorticity, upper air, basically shows the jet stream. So where's the jet stream in this image? Right here. That's a big ridge. It's got a lot of stuff going on underneath it, but that's a big popped up ridge. It's kind of a dirty ridge is what we would call that, in that it's a lot of this stuff is just there's clutter underneath it. So you see, first feature you notice is, just pointed out like you can see my finger, but you see that low, right? That 5760, that's decameters. Just shows you how high it is. It shows you instability. And so what we have is, see the yellows and the greens underneath us, or over California in the circle? That just represents something chiseling away at the warmth, something that's kind of weakening the high, if you will, just enough. And the high wants to build in. It's having a heck of a time. And it does start to build in. So there's some heat shows up here. This is August 31st, Sunday. And then you see the ridge, and still something comes in. Wow. So there's really no that low. This is where it gets interesting. Where's that go? Yeah, that's pretty interesting right there. So what did I just show you? I showed you absolutely nothing. I'm going to wait for a new run of that, because what we're looking at is more of the same. More of the same. There's an opportunity for a warm up there towards the early part of next week, but there's a lot going on under the ridge. So why just kind of go steady as she goes. So what we're getting is what we're getting, except minus the copious amounts of subtropical moisture. So here comes the forecast North American model. This is Wednesday, or pardon me, this afternoon. So that's a nice footprint. See how the purple isn't just streaming in the Central Valley? This purple, those are your 100s. And you can see even see the sea breeze, how it helps out. You can see the cut, and you can see the marine layer. You can see how the cooler air is pushing into the Central Valley. And you can see how it kind of separates the heat bubble. But the heat bubble kind of gets pushed down to Bakersfield, and gets pushed a little further north up towards Red Bluff. Okay, so how is this super granular? No, but it gives you a heck of an idea. So there's overnight, and then here we go into Thursday afternoon, right? Nice. And then here we go into Friday afternoon. Same thing. So you see, it's persistence forecasting. It basically, we're looking at the same thing for the next few days minus the subtropical moisture. And here's national map, and you can see the fog, or not the fog. I mean, you can't see the fog here, but you see all the moisture, and you see it's kind of getting pulled this way. That's a good looking satellite image because you got it. That's interesting. You can kind of see that big upper level ridge, and then you see that trough sort of, it's long wave pattern, something like that. And then you see all the subtropical activity down here. And that's, you know, the monsoonal moisture, this stuff here all came from here essentially, or most of it. So when you get these spinners, like Juliet or some of the tropical storms we've seen, they get pulled into this flow. So that's what we had. We had a lot of subtropical moisture, and now it's being pushed away. Okay. All right. We're getting there. So what did I just say? I just said we're going to continue on. You too in Southern California. Continue on with the persistence of what's happening today. These are the flood watches. My friends at Burning Man, I got to call into one of you guys. I want to hear back from you. And then there's the red flag warnings, or right there. So that's looks to me like that's for thunder and lightning, basically, because I think they got some moisture, the moisture plume up there. And then Alaska down here, they have, right, flood watches, flood warnings, thunder and lightning. Yeah, so it's pretty busy. That moisture, that subtropical moisture is very kind of just time of year. Like that's why there's thunderstorms possible today, because it like you wake up this morning in Lake Tahoe and it's like, well, it looks pretty clear, but there's still remnant moisture there that's going to react to the daytime heating. Okay, this is the current forecast page, currents. It's just fun to look at. I'm not going to make you look at it today, but there's so much information. Well, I'm going to make you look at it. That's Napa Valley. Gives me all this. 66 degree temperature, dew points 55, RH 68, relative humidity. So that's in the fire zone, Calistoga. Picket Fire, 68% humidity. That fire's done. Not today, but it helps. They're going to get big containment on it today. And the overnight low was, min temp was 55 degrees with good humidity recovery. These are this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Okay, I see what they're doing, right? Because we kind of saw that ridge. It's cluttered ridge, but that ridge is still going to develop. So it's slightly above average. We'll see how that pans out. And then we'll look at the precip, which, okay, you know, the precip, 6 to 10 day precip page is awesome when you get into the winter. It shows it's much more, depicts more. Here is, I put this together. I didn't put this together, but this is wave period. So yesterday I showed you wave heights. This is the forecast, surf forecast from surfline.com. There's California right here. The wave interval or wave period is the difference between the crest of a wave and the crest of a wave. So how long it takes from this wave to get to the crest of this wave is the interval. And if you get a big long interval, like a tsunami, the interval is like hundreds of miles long, a big tsunami. And so that's the interval. The interval could be, a minute or something like that. Actually, I'm not sure what a tsunami interval would be, but they're big. But when you get into ocean swells, it's the same thing. The closer the interval, the smaller the waves. The bigger the interval, the bigger the waves. And we can talk about that some other time. So I'm just looking for surf because I want to surf, and it hasn't been that good. You can see this. You see the arrows representing the direction of the interval or of the higher period swells. So there's a little something off the coast through early next week. I'm looking for, that's better. That's a south swell again. And then you see the reds. Yeah, that's interesting. So you just give you an idea, and you see the reds coming up. Now that's interesting. So that's 9 a.m. Saturday or Sunday. So towards the end of this weekend, swell wants to fill in pretty nicely. That's pretty good, and then it goes back down. So if you're diving or you're fishing, you can see you got some pretty significant swell. Let's see what the wave period is on that. I wonder if it gives us 3.3, 18 seconds. Yeah, there's a couple swells. So that gives you the 3 foot at 12 seconds, which is just your regular westerly swell. And then you got this southerly swell coming up at 2 feet, 18 seconds, and a little bit different angle swell coming at 2 feet or 2 feet 15 seconds. That 18-second interval is big. 2 feet at 18 seconds, you're like, oh, it's only a 2-foot wave. 18 seconds it'll kick your behind. All right. Ocean Beach, just talked to Mark Hanley. He was surfing out at Ocean Beach today at Kelly's Cove. Said it was pretty fun. Looked kind of fun. And you can see the marine layer. Remember we talked about the marine layer breaking off earlier today? I think it will, because the inversion's so deep. This is Surfrider Beach in Malibu. This is the old, just south of the old Ringe Estate. The folks that used to, let's see if I can get that to load up for us. Come on. This is going to be, again, watching the sausage get made. Let's see if it comes up. Malibu to me is awesome because it represents old California surfing. Palos Verdes, I think, was before Malibu. But Malibu is where all the movie stars hung out back in the 40s and 50s. Malibu Colony, just little beach shacks. I can't remember. I always forget Martha Ringe. Malibu was a private ranch. That whole point was a holding. And she allowed, once her husband died, she allowed like Charlie Chaplin and all these movie stars to kind of rent little shacks along the coast. But that's why when you watch old beach movies, you see they're in those little shacks. They just threw up a bunch of old shacks and rented it out, and the movie industry loved it. So not all, but many of the celebrities would live in those shacks, and they were around. I can remember those shacks in the 70s. This is a nice little piece of swell right here. Check out the set. This is a set wave. See how there's like about 2 or 3 set waves in the set. Sets usually have 3 to 4 waves, meaning that, I mean, it's not a big wave, but everybody's hustling. That's Alan Sarlo right there, right? He's a local out there, old Dogtown guy. I don't know if that's Alan, but it's funny. Every time I pull up the Surfline kit, he doesn't miss it. He doesn't miss a day. He's my age, and he was Dogtown, Z Boys, Jay Adams. Alan Sarlo was the deal, and Zephyr skate team, and he has been surfing for longer than I have, and still surfs way better than me. And he's kind of the local guy out there. Okay, so here is Mount Whitney yesterday. I always think we're going to see like Bigfoot or something when we do this, right? This is last night. Clear skies, right? The heating's gone away, so the clouds go away. Wake up this morning, that moisture's moving on. There just a little bit shows up on the ridgeline. That's, again, if I'm backpacking, because I used to backpack up in these areas a lot, and I see that at 9:30 in the morning, even though that's not much, I'm like, ooh, I stay low off the ridges. Here we are to the jellyfish. Appreciate you hanging in. Appreciate the support. It's fun watching the channel grow. I got a bunch of comments that I haven't gotten back to yet. The best one is that I love the shark one I did. I just did something on sharks, just anecdotal stuff, just from being an old man who surfed in the Red Triangle forever. But some of the comments, I'm like, oh, because everybody has a story. And then it dawned on me that, because I have a bunch of stories, I didn't even tell all my stories. But I realized, oh my God, everybody's got a bunch of stories. Nobody reports encounters. A bite is a bite, an encounter is an encounter, like, oh, I saw it, or even it bumped me. A bite is, they don't call them attacks because they're not, it's a mistake. So a bite is, you hear about them, you read about them. Encounters, you don't read about. And my encounters, I didn't tell anybody. I mean, I tell my friends, and then, but so in the comments, I'm like, oh my God, some of the stories were just wow. I mean, like, good stories. I mean, read the comments. But I was going to say is I didn't get back to all you guys. I'm sorry. I just had that, my dad passed, and I always try to interact with you guys as best I can, and I feel bad that because there's a lot of comments on a bunch of stuff, and I haven't done what I need to do. Where'd the puffins go, right? Well, turns out this is they leave around September. I thought it was most of it. I thought a lot of it was because of the swell, because of Hurricane Aaron that went up the coast and created swell. But it did clear them off the rocks and maybe